Calling all authors, the Your Book, Your Voice podcast, hosted by Robert A. Lane, is on the air, featuring everything you need to know about narrating your own audiobook. But it doesn't stop there. From special guests, including authors and professionals from the book industry, to sharing tools and techniques needed to be a confident and compelling narrator. The journey starts now. So please welcome your host, Robert A. Lane.
The mental game, the audiobook mental game. Actually, the mental game is just something we deal with in our lives with everything that we do. But focusing on you as an author and as you as a creator, because you are an artiste. I do consider you an artist. Most importantly, I do consider you an entrepreneur, because you are. As an author, you've written a book, you've published your book. You're a professional writer, as far as I'm concerned. You are an author that has a business. You are a brand. You are an entrepreneur. That's a really great thing to be able to accomplish, and something to just really be proud of. It's a great thing. But the audiobook mental game is the topic for today, and that falls into a couple of categories. Now, the first thing, of course, is you've written a book, you've put it out there, it's you're proud of it, you've put your heart and soul into this book that you've written, whether it's fiction, whether it's nonfiction, maybe it's a memoir, or maybe you're an educator or coach, or maybe you've written a book about entrepreneurship, or maybe you wrote a book about your coaching program, or maybe you're a children's book writer. Or maybe you wrote a really great fiction story and you said, I'm going to make a great business decision for my business as an author, for my author brand, and that is turning my book into an audiobook. Great decision. Great decision. That's one step of overcoming the mental game, because a lot of people, a lot of authors stop at publishing the book, right? They just stop at that place. That's like their goal they reached, and then that's the end of it. So, I got an ebook, I got a paperback, I got a hardcover book. That's great. That's great. Having all those formats are really great, because now you're offering more formats for your fans, for your readers. But having a book as an audiobook is just one more great thing to add to your arsenal of product, because people want to hear your story. And the great thing about having people wanting to hear your story is that they want you, as the author, to share your story, to tell your story, so they can hear it coming from the source. That is part of the audiobook mental game, because you got to wrap your mental brain around this concept of having you narrate your own audiobook. And there's really no reason for you not to do it, because you can, and you will do a great job. Absolutely. I have an audiobook coaching program called Your Book, Your Voice. Same name as the podcast. Pretty convenient. All right. But the thing is, the authors who go through my program are authors just like you. They want to do an audiobook, and they wanted to narrate it. And a lot of them are not really sure about the steps on how to do this. So that's part of the mental game. The mental game is that they decided to do it. So that's a great accomplishment. Now it's just learning how to do it and doing it properly, and making sure you get published correctly the first time, as I've seen authors having their audiobooks rejected off of Audible, Amazon, Apple, and any other distribution platform, because they didn't meet the correct specifications for publication. And there's nothing wrong with doing it yourself. Matter of fact, I do have there's a VIP version of the program that I teach, and a DIY version. And the DIY does explain every single step that you need to do. And authors miss some of these steps when they DIY their audiobook. So you don't want to do that. But again, conquering the mental game, number one, is making the decision to do an audiobook. Great. That is success as far as I'm concerned. The next step is to actually do it. Now, narrating your own audiobook is the next best great decision to move your business forward. It really is, because it's your story. No one can tell your story better than you. That's hands down, that's it, all right? And again, I'm a firm believer about not cutting corners. You can't cut corners when it comes to creating your products, especially as an artist, especially as a creative, especially as an entrepreneur. Everything that you do, everything that you put out there needs to be top quality, and you don't cut corners. And you cannot be lazy. When you wrote your book, did you spend the time to format it out and maybe write an outline and figure out, how am I going to tell my story? How am I going to put it together? How am I going to piece together each chapter? What am I going to call each chapter? How is this going to flow? Is there a flow from opening credits to closing credits? Am I taking my reader on a journey? Just like with music, just like with movies and films, there is a flow, and you are taken on a journey, especially when people are reading your book. Same thing applies when you're doing your audiobook. You're taking them on a journey. You're telling them a story. Remember, back in the day, before there was, written word, right? We're going to go way back. How did people communicate? How did people share stories? By telling them, sitting around the campfire or wherever their little tribe was, and they shared stories, and they passed these stories down from generation to generation. That's really the first audiobook, if you think about it, because they are sharing their story. These people are telling their stories and passing them down from generation to generation in their voice so that it gets preserved, so their legacy is preserved. Same exact concept applies to you in your audiobook today. And again, that's part of the audiobook mental game, wrapping your head around that. That when you narrate your own audiobook, it's just like you're sitting around the campfire with a group of people, maybe your best friends or family or whoever they are, and you're telling your story. You're sharing this great story. And the way you tell your story keeps them on the edge of their seat, because you do have what it takes to keep people interested in what you have to say. And you do have the skills to do it. Absolutely. But that's the beauty of it. It's the same thing. You are leaving your legacy for future generations to discover you, discover your book, and then, most importantly, discover you telling your story in your own voice so they can hear it coming from the source. They can hear it coming from the person that lived it, that breathed it, that experienced it. It doesn't get any better than that. I love audiobooks, especially nonfiction books, whether they're memoirs. A lot of memoirs are great. A lot of the authors that go through my audiobook coaching program actually are memoirs. They have written memoirs. I have done fiction, and I've helped authors with some coaching programs as well that they've written books about that they teach. And it's so great coming from the source, because, again, you lived it. It's your story. It's not like some biographer who's writing about somebody else. It's their interpretation. And that's a key phrase to keep in mind. It's their interpretation. When you're narrating your own audiobook, you are telling your story the way it's meant to be heard, the way you meant it to be told, because you're telling it. You can have another narrator do it again, but that is somebody from the outside telling your story, and it's still their interpretation. It's their interpretation because they're going to narrate how they perceive your story, how they perceive it. The thing about that is that there's a disconnect. There really is. There is a disconnect. There's a disconnect with that narrator not being able to really connect emotionally to the story and the journey that you're presenting in your book. There is a disconnect. There are subtleties, nuances, the ways they narrate, the way they may interpret a sentence, the way they may interpret a paragraph or even a full chapter. And maybe it's something where, like, it sounds good, right? And there are some really great professional narrators. Of course, they will sound good, they will sound professional, but there's an emotional disconnect because they didn't live your experience. And that's, again, another reason why you should be narrating your own book, because you're telling your story the way it's meant to be told in the style that you want to express it, because it's your story. The other thing that you need to wrap your head around mentally as part of the audiobook mental game is this. It's your voice, right? Your style, your author brand, which of course is everything that encompasses who you are, voice included, right? This is your story and your brand, and that allows you to stand out in a crowd, because that's what makes you unique. That's what makes you unique. How you tell your story, how you sound, how you express yourself. It's all part of what allows you to stand out in a crowd, especially with all the noise, right? Everything that's going on in the publishing world. I mean, let's say you've written, whether it's a memoir or a coaching program or something, and you're talking about your career, or maybe you're talking about a health journey, or maybe you're talking about trauma that you experienced when you were growing up. And there's going to be a lot of books that have similar topics or even talk about the same thing. But you know what? You know what resonates with people? Your personality, who you are, your author brand, your voice, how you express yourself. People will be drawn into you. Someone can be telling the exact same story, and maybe the person who listens to your audiobook won't listen to theirs because it doesn't resonate with them, right? They don't feel that connection. And that's where the intangibles come in. I talk about this a lot because intangibles are super important. And people ask, oh, what are intangibles? Intangibles are those things that you don't physically touch, but you emotionally feel. Those are the things that make a great audiobook, because you are expressing yourself. It's your emotion, your energy, your sincerity, especially your genuine authenticity. It's your genuine authenticity that comes through. And of course, on top of that is content. What is it that you have to say? So, another aspect of the audiobook mental game is embracing and loving your voice. Your voice is part of who you are. I've talked, almost every author who's gone through my audiobook coaching program has had issues about how they sound, about not liking their voice, about thinking they don't have what it takes to express themselves properly. And that is just such a false belief. It is not true. You have a great voice. You really do. You have a fantastic voice. That's why you stand out in a crowd. That's what makes you you. That's what makes you so unique. That is why I say your author brand encompasses everything that you are, everything that creates the person that you are, the way you were brought up, your belief systems, your habits, your morals, your values, your personality, your sense of humor, and especially your voice. That's all part of your author brand. And never forget that your voice literally is in your written word. When people read your book, the way you express yourself, people they hear a voice in their head. I do. If I'm reading a book, I kind of hear, I just hear a voice as I read along. But let it be your voice. Let them hear it for real in your own voice. It doesn't get any better than that, because now you're telling your story and they're hearing it from the author, from the source. It doesn't get any better than that. I know it doesn't, because again, I love hearing authors telling their story. So you do have what it takes. So you need to be mentally prepared, meaning that you believe in yourself, you believe in your voice, you have confidence that you have the tools to narrate a great audiobook, to tell your story the way it's meant to be heard. Got to wrap your head around that. That's part of the mental game. And when you have the proper guidance, when you have somebody to help you through the process, it just makes it 1,000 times easier. Because another thing that I've discovered, and I throw that into the audiobook mental game category, is people not doing an audiobook because they just look and see what's involved in doing it, if you're going to do it and do it right. It's like, oh, wow, that takes a lot of time, or, that seems like a lot of work, or it's kind of overwhelming, or I'm just confused on the whole process of setting up my account for publication and how to narrate and record, et cetera, et cetera. And then they don't do it. And you're doing yourself a disservice when you do that. So you got to get out of that frame of mind, change your mental game into, yeah, I have what it takes. Yes, I can narrate my own audiobook. I have a great story to tell. No one can tell my story better than me. I'm going to go for it. Put yourself in the right frame of mind. And a little piece of advice when you do start recording and narrating your own audiobook is just focus on just doing a great narration. All right. And bring in those intangibles. Be conversational. Be your just true, authentic self. Don't try to sound like somebody else. Don't try to be like somebody else. Be you. You are the CEO of you. I say that all the time. I love that catchphrase. You are the CEO of you. You really are. And using your voice, that's you. That's who you are. So love it and embrace it. Okay. Don't use any excuses about not liking your voice, et cetera, because it's not true. But again, when you are recording, just be focused in the moment. Don't worry about the past. Don't worry about the future. Just worry about the job at hand. And you know what? I don't even want to use the word worry. Don't even, forget worry, right? Forget worry. We're dumping that word. Now, all you are ready to do is to do a great audiobook narration. That's it. That's it. And there's your focus. Now, I do have an audiobook coaching program, as I mentioned, called Your Book, Your Voice. The VIP program is the one that most authors sign up for because we work together one-on-one. I send you the equipment you need to set up your recording space, show you how to do it, get you all set up in all the places that you need to set up accounts and whatever you have to do to get published on Audible, Amazon, Apple, and any other distribution platform that you want to be on. And then we go over how to do a great narration, and I guide you as your coach through the entire process. All right. Now, the other part of it, and this is something that a lot of authors tend to forget, is that there is audio post-production that has to happen. Whether you do it yourself or you sign up in a program like what I offer, you got to have your audiobook edited. And this is why authors love the VIP program that I teach, because as you're recording your audiobook, they're sending their audio files to me, because as an audio editor, which I've been doing for 30 plus years, I go in, I clean up your audio, make sure it sounds great, but most importantly, that it meets the exact specifications for publication. Because if it doesn't, guess what? You get rejected, period. And to make sure that everything is great and that everything sounds fantastic and that there are no issues for getting your audiobook published on any of the platforms that you want to be on, I do all the uploading for you so that you don't have to worry about that phase. That's my job as your audiobook coach and producer, is to handle all the heavy lifting. It takes all the burden off your shoulders. Again, all you're focused on is doing a great narration, and that's all it really should be. So I'd love to help you out, by the way. If you have any inclination, which I hope you do, about narrating your own audiobook, you need to do it. You really do. It's a market that continues to grow and expand and has been over the last several years. And people ask for audiobooks first before they ask for any of the other formats that your book is in. So it's just a great business decision to do. So again, check out the links in the description here on YouTube and also on LinkedIn as we stream this. There's links to book a call. Book a call with me. I'd love to talk with you about your book, find out more about your goals of what you want to do with your book, talk about the whole process of what it takes to create a great audiobook. And if it resonates with you, enroll in the program. We will work together for 12 weeks, and that's all it takes. Setup and preparation, how to do a great narration, go over marketing strategies to help you promote your audiobook and the rest of the formats of your book, and get you published. I do all the editing for you. I do all the uploading for you. It's a win-win for you. So make a great business decision because, again, you are the CEO of you. All right. RobertLaneCoaching.com is where you can go. And then, of course, the link's in the description as well on the other podcast platforms that this podcast is on, the audio-only versions like Apple and Spotify and wherever else, Deezer, it's all over the place. But there are links in the description as well. So book a call. I'd love to speak with you. Love to speak with you. So just to wrap things up here on this edition of the Your Book, Your Voice podcast, again, it is the Audiobook Mental Game. Be mentally prepared, all right? Number one, make that mental decision and make it a reality that, hey, I'm going to turn my book into an audiobook. That's number one, okay? Secondly, make that mental decision to narrate the book yourself. Narrate that audiobook in your own voice. It's your story. There's nobody more qualified than you to tell your story because you don't want that emotional disconnect. And geez, just don't cut corners. AI ain't going to cut it. I don't care if you go voice cloning or whatever. It's fake computer generated soulless audio. All right. If AI removes the life out of your product, right? Don't do that. It's a misrepresentation of who you are as an author. You worked way too hard creating your book. Why would you throw that away by doing AI because you want to cut corners? And don't use, I don't have a voice as an excuse because I won't buy it. And you shouldn't either. Okay? You're a business person. You are an entrepreneur. You've written and published a book. And here, a little food for thought here. If you've published a book that maybe came out 5-10 years ago, turn it into an audiobook, narrate it, resurrect it back to life, bring it into the forefront of people's minds so they can see and go, oh, that's your book? Cool. Or maybe they might even think, hey, here's a new book by my favorite author. And it's like, oh, this actually came out a while ago. Hey, but this is a great book. And then you're going to narrate it, relaunch it, and just bring new life to your repertoire of products. Smart business move. All right. All right, my friends, that's going to wrap it up for this edition of the Your Book, Your Voice podcast. I do appreciate you so much. If you're listening and following on whatever podcast platform, please follow along. If you're checking this out on YouTube, subscribe. And yeah, I'm telling you, if there is a topic, by the way, if you'd like me to talk about regarding the audiobook world, love to talk about it. You're more than welcome to make a comment or post or whatever. Send me a message. You can go to robertlanecoaching.com, of course, to send me a message as well. And just let me know, because if there is a topic you'd like me to discuss regarding the audiobook world or just about the book industry, or maybe there's a book professional that you would love to hear from, an editor, a formatter, a book coach, or whatever, I'd be happy to bring them on as guests as well. And I'll have more authors on as guests as well, too, because I've been working with some really great authors, and I love to help promote their books on the podcast. So there you go. All right, my friends, have a great week, by the way. And of course, my final assignment to you, as always, is that when you're out and about in the world, smile at a stranger, okay? Give them a compliment. Say hello to them. Real simple. Hey, how you doing? Takes what? Less than 3 seconds to do that, right? But that small gesture of kindness can make the world of difference in somebody's life. And that's the most important part. We need to spread more positivity in this world, so let's do it, okay? Let's do it. So have a great week. Spread some positivity. Smile at a stranger. Say hello. Make somebody's day. And you have an awesome day as well. We'll be talking to you on the next edition of the Your Book, Your Voice podcast. I'm Robert A. Lane. Thank you so much for tuning in.
This has been Your Book, Your Voice with host Robert A. Lane. Tune in each week for another powerful and informative episode. And remember, only you can narrate your story the way it's meant to be heard.